Most people throw away their geraniums every fall, wasting hundreds of dollars when these plants can live for decades. I used to be one of those people. Year after year, I'd buy new geraniums in spring, watch them bloom beautifully all summer, then toss them in the compost when frost threatened. I probably threw away over $500 worth of perfectly healthy plants before I figured out what I'm about to show you. And here's the thing, geraniums are ridiculously easy to overwinter once you know the three main methods. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to keep your geraniums alive through winter, so they come back bigger and more beautiful next spring. Let me start with what actually kills geraniums when temperatures drop. It's not the cold itself that's the problem, at least not entirely. Geraniums, which are technically called pelargoniums, are native to South Africa. They're used to dry seasons and can handle some cool weather. What they absolutely cannot survive is frost combined with wet soil. When ice crystals form inside plant cells, they rupture the cell walls and turn your plant into mush overnight. I learned this the hard way when I left 6 beautiful geraniums outside during an unexpected October frost. By morning, the leaves looked like wet tissue paper. But here's what most gardeners don't realize. Even without frost, geraniums struggle indoors because our homes in winter are like deserts. Furnaces dry out the air to 10 to 20% humidity, which is lower than most actual deserts. Meanwhile, we're giving them less light than they got outside, and we're still watering them like it's summer. This combination is why your geraniums get leggy, drop leaves, and look half dead by February. There are 3 proven ways to overwinter geraniums, and which one you choose depends on your space, time, and goals. I'll walk you through each one so you can pick what works best for your situation. This is the easiest method if you have a sunny window. Here's exactly what to do before the first frost, which in most zones happens between late September and early November. Start by inspecting every plant carefully. Look under leaves and along stems for pests, especially whiteflies, aphids, and spider mites. I cannot stress this enough because bringing one infested plant indoors can spread pests to every houseplant you own. If you spot any bugs, spray the plant thoroughly with insecticidal soap or neem oil. Do this outside and wait 3 days before bringing plants in. Next, cut your geraniums back by about 1/3. I know it feels brutal to chop off healthy growth, but this serves 2 purposes. First, it reduces the plant's water needs when it's getting less light indoors. Second, it encourages bushier growth rather than those long, scraggly stems that reach for light. Use clean, sharp pruners and cut just above a leaf node, that's the little bump on the stem, where leaves emerge. Now here's the part that most guides skip. Before you bring plants inside, you need to transition them gradually. This is called hardening off, but in reverse. Move your geraniums to a shaded area outside for 3 to 5 days. This lets them adjust to lower light conditions before moving indoors. Without this step, you'll see massive leaf drop within a week. When you're ready to bring them in, choose the sunniest spot you have. Geraniums need at least 4 to 6 hours of direct sunlight daily to stay healthy. South-facing windows work best. If you don't have enough natural light, and most of us don't in winter, invest in a basic grow light. You can get a full-spectrum LED bulb for under $15 that screws into a regular desk lamp. Position it 6 to 12 inches above the plant and run it for 12 to 14 hours daily. Here's where most people mess up watering. In winter, geraniums are semi-dormant. They're barely growing, which means they need way less water. Stick your finger 2 inches into the soil. If it's dry at that depth, water thoroughly until water drains from the bottom. Then don't water again until the soil is dry at that same depth. In my house, this means watering maybe once every 10 to 14 days instead of twice weekly like in summer. Temperature matters too. Geraniums prefer it cool between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit at night. I know that sounds cold, but they actually flower better after experiencing cool nights. If you keep them in a warm room, they'll get leggy and weak. A spare bedroom or enclosed porch works great. Don't fertilize at all from November through February. The plant isn't actively growing, so feeding it just causes weak, spindly growth and can burn roots. Resume fertilizing in late February when you start seeing new growth. This method is perfect if you don't have space for large plants, or if you want to multiply your collection. One mature geranium can give you 10 to 20 cuttings, turning a $15 plant into potentially $300 worth of new plants. Timing is crucial here. Take cuttings in late August or early September, at least 4 weeks before your first expected frost. This gives cuttings time to root and establish before facing the stress of indoor conditions. Choose healthy stems that are neither brand new and soft nor old and woody. You want semi-mature growth, which is firm but still slightly flexible. Each cutting should be 3 to 4 inches long with at least 2 or 3 sets of leaves. Make your cut just below a node using a clean, sharp blade. Remove all but the top 2 sets of leaves and any flower buds. Those flowers look pretty, but they drain energy the cutting needs for root development. Here's a trick that dramatically improves success rates. Let your cutting sit out for 2 to 3 hours after cutting. This lets the cut end callus over slightly, which prevents rot. I used to stick cuttings directly into soil and lost probably 40% to stem rot. After I started letting them dry slightly, my success rate jumped to over 90%. For rooting medium, forget regular potting soil. It's too heavy and holds too much moisture. Mix equal parts perlite and peat moss, or use straight perlite if you have it. Wet the medium thoroughly, then let excess water drain. The medium should be damp, not soggy. Dip the cut end in rooting hormone powder if you have it, though geraniums root easily without it. Stick cuttings about an inch deep into the medium. Place them in bright, indirect light. Never direct sun, which will cook them. Room temperature is fine. You don't need a heat mat or humidity dome. In fact, too much humidity encourages fungal diseases. The hardest part is resisting the urge to check for roots every day. Don't tug on cuttings. In 3 to 4 weeks, you'll see new leaf growth, which signals successful rooting. At that point, you can very gently tug, and you should feel resistance. Transplant rooted cuttings into small pots with regular potting soil and treat them like the indoor plants I described earlier. This is the old-school method your grandparents probably used, and it works incredibly well if you have a cool, dark space like an unheated basement or a garage that stays between 40 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. In late fall, before hard frost, dig up your entire geranium plant. Shake off as much soil as possible from the roots. You want them mostly bare? Trim back the foliage to about 1/3 of its original size. Now comes the weird part. Hang the plants upside down by their roots in your cool storage space. I know it sounds crazy, but this works because it keeps the stems dry and prevents rot. You can also lay them on their side in shallow cardboard boxes with newspaper between plants. Check on them monthly. The stems will look dead and papery, and that's normal. If you see mold, increase air circulation or move them to a slightly drier spot. In late February or early March, about 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date, cut the plants back to about 4 inches tall. Pot them up in fresh potting soil, water lightly, and place them in a sunny window. Within 2 weeks, you'll see new growth emerging. It's honestly like plant resurrection. I've made every mistake possible, so let me save you some heartbreak. The number one killer is overwatering. More geraniums die from too much water in winter than any other cause. Remember, cool temperatures plus wet soil equals root rot. Second biggest mistake is bringing plants inside too early. If you move them indoors while it's still warm outside, they don't enter their semi-dormant state properly. Wait until nighttime temperatures consistently drop below 50 degrees. Third, people panic when leaves yellow and drop. Some leaf loss is completely normal when plants transition indoors. As long as you're seeing some new growth at the tips, the plant is fine. About 8 weeks before your last frost date, start preparing your geraniums for outdoor life again. Increase watering slightly and start fertilizing with a balanced liquid fertilizer at half strength every 2 weeks. When outdoor nighttime temperatures stay above 50 degrees consistently, start the hardening off process in reverse. Move plants outside for a few hours daily, gradually increasing their time outdoors over 7 to 10 days. Once the danger of frost has passed completely, you can plant them back in the ground or keep them in containers. Plants you've overwintered will be larger and more established than anything you could buy at a garden center, and they'll start blooming weeks earlier. Here's the best part. Geraniums that have been through this winter rest period often bloom more prolifically than plants that never experience dormancy. Something about that cool, dry rest period triggers better flowering. If you found this helpful, I've got another video about propagating geraniums from leaf cuttings that almost nobody knows about. It's even easier than stem cuttings.